Venerable Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni Sangha, friends, now we are going to start the next session, that is to say Dhamma discussion on transference of merit to deities in Sinhalese Devyanta Pindima in Sri Lanka and Nepal, conducted by Venerable Panyasara of Nepal and myself. In fact, most of us know how it is believed and performed in Sri Lanka, so that probably we need to know more about how it is done in Nepal. And by the way, do you hear? How about now? Okay. Probably my mindfulness was on the live streaming. So, pardon my friends online, I need to repeat. So the next item is the Dhamma discussion on transference of merit to deities, devatas, in Sinhalese Devyanta Pindima, in Sri Lanka, as it is performed in Sri Lanka and Nepal, and the discussion is now being conducted by Venerable Panyasara of Nepal and by myself. By the way, those who are not yet informed, that Venerable Panyasara is the latest addition to the permanent monastic staff here in London Buddhist Vihara. Even though he is from Nepal, and he will agree to my comment that his first language is English actually, right? Yeah, he hardly speaks his mother tongue because he was only trained, he was born and raised until he turned maybe not even teenager, right? 7, 8 years old. Then he moved to Sri Lanka, so that you don't ask him anything in Nepalese. It has to be in English or in Sinhalese. Okay, that being said, so we are jointly conducting this discussion. However, I was going to say that most of us know how it is done in Sri Lanka, and I myself am curious as to how it is done in Nepal. I am just sitting here with him, and he'll be contributing more. Right? So that means I will, as an opening, I would like to say that in Sinhalese as Devyanta Pindima. Now, as you know, in popular Buddhism, transference of merits to deities, devas, is so common that at the end of any pinkama, any meritorious activity, people would do that. Unless you do so, you feel like a big part of your meritorious activity is not done, undone, and you feel like it's a big piece missing. That's how important you find it. I'm sharing the merits. However, there are a lot of debates and arguments as to whether transfers of merit to devas or sharing in another, more, it's an easier term, sharing merits with devas is appropriate, or it is mandated in Buddhism. A lot of people ask that. So I'm not going to say much. We'll just give some reference. I will make a few words with reference to a canonical passage that occurs in the Anguttara Nikaya, Panchaka Nipata. As you know, Anguttara Nikaya is one of the books of the Sutta Pitaka. So according to the Panchaka Nipata of the Anguttara Nikaya, the Sutta Pitaka, yes, devas, divine beings, do need merits. Now please just let me go through the passage in Pali, and so I have the Sinhalese translation, then I will have to pause when I translate the Pali passage in my head. Okay? So evam metan sumane, alam is sumane, dānāni dātum, alam puññāni kātum, deva bhūtasya upakārāni puññāni, manusa bhūtasya upakārāni puññāni, pabbaditasya upakārāni puññāni. Now, this passage is again from the Panchaka Nipata of the Anguttara Nikaya, the Sutta Pitaka. Now, once there was this Princess Sumana. She was a royal prince. She paid a visit to Buddha with a big retinue and a big following. And then, so she wanted. She was an ardent supporter of the Buddha, and she would always offer dana to Buddha and the Sangha, and she would perform charity. So one day she came and performed dana, and she had some questions about this sharing merits. And that is when Sumana would first explain her understanding of merit sharing, and Buddha mandated that by saying, Evameta Sumana, yes, you are right, Sumana, yes, you are right, Sumana, you are correct. Alam Sumana, it is always good to perform dana. Alam Punya is always good to do punya. Because, and then to share the merits, since Deva Bhutasya Upakārāni Puññāni, Devas, divine beings, also in need of merits. Manusa Bhutasya Upakārāni Puññāni, human beings also in need of merits. Pabbaditasya Upakārāni Puññāni, monastics are also in need of merits. So and so forth. So the description goes on. Now that is in Anguttara Nikaya, from the Anguttara Nikaya. So, and there are many stories from within the canon that I actually don't remember which Arahat it was, probably Arahat Kachayana, I guess. Probably Arahat Kachayana Moggallana. Pardon my, so I don't remember that which Arahat it was. However, that Arahat was residing in a cave on the mountain, on a hilltop cave. And toward a few hours after midnight, the Arahat got severe stomach pain. And then, so he was able to control his pain because he was an Arahat. However, he was as an Arahat, his body was going through pain, and his mind was at peace. That is how enlightened people explain their pains. My body is in pain, my mind is at peace. That's how they express that. However, so he went into deep meditation through his, and all of a sudden he remembered that when he was a child, when he was a layperson, whenever he had that stomach pain, it was a chronic stomach pain. So his mother would prepare a special kanji, special porridge, herbal porridge. And then so overnight he would remain in meditation, and he would meditate, he would practice Vedanānupassana. And early in the morning, there was a upasika who was living so at the foot of that, in the nearby village. Early morning, she paid a visit to the cave with a bowl full of porridge, and she offered it to the Arahat. And when the Arahat ordered it, and she paid her respect and left. When he was about to take a sip, he thought to himself, wait a moment, last night I thought about my mother giving me this, ministering to me with this the same kind of herbal porridge whenever I had stomach pain. How could I get this morning? And that moment when he was about to put his mind into psychic power and to see what happened, right at the moment there one Devata appeared. Devata, whose Vimana was in a tree nearby, and he appeared. Please don't throw it away. Please, I am the one who is responsible for that. I know that you are going to see who is responsible for this. I made that. So I read your mind, so that I went to that particular upasika, and then she got possessed by me, and I planted an idea in her mind that unless she made that porridge for you, I would never ever leave her, and I would continue to torture her something. And that sent the Arhat fortunate, and then he begged him. This is the only way I could make punya. This is the only way I could make merit. In this position, with this subtle body, I wouldn't be able to prepare just like humans do. Please accept it. It would be beneficial both to the upasika and myself. That's another incident. The last one I'm going to say is in the Buddha Vamsa, you come across another Pali verse that goes like this: Yankincharam manam katva Darja Danan Amachari. Amachari means those who are generous, not average. Non-average meaning generous. Darja Danan Amachari. Generous people always find a reason to give. Puppapete Jara, it could be either they are past relatives, Atava to Devata, if not their household deities. You know, it is mentioned in Buddhist sutras, in a household where people live a very moral life, they live their life in serenity, samadhi, and they are silavanta, so that they are very ethical and they are virtuous. And in such a household, is always chosen by Bhumata Deva, terrestrial Devata, as his or her Vimana. So, Vattu is the household property. Devata is the divine being. So, the divine beings living in your household own your property. And Buddha recommended that. When you go back to the culture, popular level, especially in Sri Lanka, you know, there's a different reason why, there's a stronger reason why people ask this question. Very often this question is whether it's okay, whether it is mandated by the Buddhist canon, sharing merit with the devas is mandated by the Buddhist canon or the Buddha's teaching. The reason is this, according to my little research. Now, in Hinduism, people believe in 33 million gods. The number 33 is very important. That's why in Sinhalese people believe in Tiston Kotya Devyo, number 33 million, but actually Tiston Koti is more than 33 million, right? Yeah, Tiston Kotyak. So number 33, this auspicious number 33 involving devatas has been absorbed into Sri Lankan culture from the Indian culture. So that basically, as far as Indian pantheon in India, Indian religiosity is concerned, there are 33 million. There's a beautiful video on that too. And in Sri Lanka too, people believe in, anyway, when it comes to our culture, South Asian culture and religiosity, India is the big brother in every sense. So we get everything from India. So probably why people in Sri Lanka ask this question is, now there are so many deities, devatas, in the Sri Lankan Buddhist pantheon. Most of them were from India, from other countries too, from other cultures too. And so you might see that it is very rare in Sri Lanka that the Buddhist temple, let me put it this way, almost every Buddhist temple in Sri Lanka would have separate kuti, separate shrine for devatas or deities. Almost every Buddhist temple. Mostly it was during the Second Kingdom, during the Polonnaru Kingdom, that due to invasions, constant invasions from India, that Sri Lanka, a lot of lot of devatas from India enters the Buddhist temple. When you go to Purana, you would see while Buddha is reclining with his eyes closed or cast down, God Vishnu is standing on beside his head with his eyes wide open. However, when you read Professor Richard Gombrich's book, Theravada Buddhism, you will see that in Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan case is very important. In Sri Lanka, Buddhist people first convert non-Buddhist devatas into Buddhism and they worship them. You might have noticed that. Right? So you know, in Buddhist sutras we come across two types of devatas: Sammadittika devatas and Vichadittika devatas. Sammadittika devatas are benevolent devatas, and Vichadittika devatas are malevolent devatas. Those who are they are good devatas and evil devatas as well, Vichadittika. Now within Buddhist Sri Lankan Buddhist religiosity, any Vichadittika devata is first converted to Buddhism. Then they are qualified to receive your veneration and lay people's veneration. And Professor Gombrich explained that very well. His explanation is so fascinating. Now, so those are some ideas that I just want to share with you, so that you will get kind of provoked, and as a result you will ask questions later on. That being said, I would like to pass the microphone to Venerable Panjasara to share. I am eager to learn how merit sharing merit with devatas is done in Nepal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Venerable Pananathira, to give me mic to introduce about transferring merits to deities in Nepal as well as in Sri Lanka. First of all, I would like to say about myself. My name is Venerable Panjasara from Nepal. So, when I was 11 years old, I studied in Sri Lanka. So, after then, I completed my master degree from Sri Lanka as well. So, now I am here. So first off, Venerable said, my native language is in Sri Lanka. Actually, good knowledge in Sinhala more than my native language. So here we are discussing about merits, transferring merits to deities. So now in Sri Lanka as well as in Nepal, there are similarities, very similarities we can see. So Venerable Sir introduced about transferring merits to deities. So according to the Tripitaka and commentaries. So I would like to introduce about Nepal. So we know who are deities. So how they could be there, would be there as deities. So we are here as a people, as human beings. So all we know why and how. So in Nepal, most of the peoples are Hindus. So they perform and they, as a Hindu's culture. So earlier, when you said 33 million deities are there, no? So in Nepal also same, 33 millions, like 33 means 33.33333 as well. So that is why 33 millions we can say. So in Nepal, first of all, Buddha was born, but there in Nepal there is no Buddhism as well. Buddhists. So after Hindu, I think later on, maybe 100 years ago, the Buddhism came in Nepal. Some monks from Sri Lanka, from Burma, Myanmar, and from Thailand, they came to Nepal with Theravada Buddhism in Nepal. So that is why in Nepal, about this transferring merits to deities is actually it is new trend to the Nepali people, new trend. So they always perform, and also they always worship to God and goddess. Because of that, they don't know about transferring merits to deities. They just know worship to God and goddess. That is why some Theravada monks teach to people, we have to know and we should transfer to deities what we have as a merit. So in Nepal, actually, little by little, people know about this merits. So people should have to transfer merits to deities. So actually, as well as in Sri Lanka, so how we transfer merits to deities as well as in Nepal also same as well like that. So Akasatta Bhummata, Deva Naga Mahitika, but they actually Hindus people they don't like because they don't know about this meaning. So we have to explain why and how. So we know like when we were said Deva Bhutasya Upakarani Punyani So deities also in need of merits. So likewise, Nepal actually not two differences to transfer merits to deities. Then little by little, 75% Hindus are in Nepal. So so little bit difficult to explain them. So we should not worship to God and goddess. So we should transfer our merits to them. So little by little we have to explain them. So what is wrong and what is right. So in Nepal nowadays, in present time, so many monks are dedicating this Theravada Buddhism to the people. So now actually in Sri Lanka how transfer merits to deities, so as well as same as in Nepal also. So thank you to give me this mic to know about how transfer merits to deities in Nepal. So I think actually there is no more or no any changes like Mahayana. So in Nepal there are also Mahayana Buddhism as well as Himalayan and Tantric, and also like a Vajrayana, similarity to Theravada Buddhism, not Vajrayana as the Mahayana Buddhism. It is about Newar Buddhism as Vajrayana Buddhism. So they also worship to God and goddess, but also they transfer to merits to God like us. But it is not similarity. It is not similar with us. So now I thank again to Venerable Panandatero to give me a mic to introduce how transfer merits to Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante Panyasar. Actually, he draws a lot of parallels, and also he touched on the fact that that whenever a new trend comes into being, and it paves the way for the transformation of the existing religion. So that is how. Another thing is, the second reason why this question is being asked by a lot of people as to whether it's okay, whether it is Buddhist to share merits with the devatas is because of Devale. So in Sri Lanka in particular, people on special days, sometimes it is on Saturdays and Wednesdays, or on special days, people congregate at Devales. Devale means temples dedicated to deities or gods and goddesses. Simple G gods in plural, gods. No capital G, gods singular. So, and people gather not to share the merits with devatas or gods or goddesses or deities. I would like to use one word, deities. But to offer fruit. Now people spend a lot of money over buying the best fruit, and they bring a tray full of fruit and to offer to devas, deities. Now this is one of the reasons. I mean, a lot of lot of Buddhists in Sri Lanka are very critical of that practice, and they openly ask, do deities eat the fruit that you offer them? That's the question. Do devatas, do deities eat the fruit that you offer them? So they ask me also, then I would say, no, not at all. How could a statue made of clay or concrete consume the food that you offer? Right? So devata, but here is the thing. Sri Lanka got this practice from India. In India, in temples, in Hindu temples, people offer fruit. So, however, I always try myself to see the middle grounds. Now, I cannot say a word against people offering fruit to deities. Instead, I would encourage them to share merits with them. So, for example, my mother, some of my uncles, they are mainstream practitioners to travel, going on pilgrimage to Devalayas, so the god temples all over Sri Lanka, whereas my mother never did. She would meditate and she would always transfer the merits. One day I know one of my uncles came more, and then I asked my mother, sister, why don't you come join us for the pilgrimage to visit those deities? And my mother simply replied, I don't have to travel. I sit quiet under the Bodhi tree and close my eyes, and so I connect with 33 million gods and I share merits with them. That would be her answer. Now, so there are people in Sri Lanka who practice either one, who stick to either or both. In the recent history, there has been a trend that the bigger the amount of fruit that you offer deities, deities would help you more. So that is the belief. Now I know yesterday we celebrated Venerable Ganguru Somathera's 20th death anniversary. He was one of the monks who wanted to purify the Sasana. And he was highly critical of them, and he openly said in his talks that it is better to share the merits with devatas, and they wouldn't come down to the earth to eat your pineapple, apple and bananas and any other kind of fruit. Because when you share the merits and when you wish that devatas achieve whatever the comfort they would love to have during their divine existence, and then as per the Buddha's teachings, and they would achieve that by when you share merits with them. So that is the Buddhist idea. I would like. So that is how. That's all I could say. Do you have anything? Say anything? No. Then we welcome questions. Probably, as usual, your questions will put us in new directions. So, if you have any questions, please. I think we have microphones ready. Can I have the questions? We have 15 minutes to go.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you mentioned the story earlier about Devata who possessed a woman's body, so that she would donate the porridge to the Arahant.
Yeah.
So, and you also mentioned that he apparently threatened the woman to torture her if she doesn't complete this deed. So was he able to still gain merit this way?
Yeah, actually, probably I didn't use the correct word. She got possessed by the Devata. Possessed. Let me correct myself. Possessed by the Devata. So his idea was good. I mean, his intention was good. He wanted to, in his position, he wouldn't be able to come down and prepare food and offer the Arhat. So that's why, and that puts me on a different, that provokes me to explain something else. Soon after Buddha's enlightenment, Buddha had this idea. It was with a lot of difficulties that I realized this difficult, profound Dharma. And then it wouldn't be easy for anyone to understand this profound Dharma. It would be so profound. And that moment, there was a figure appearing before the Buddha, and then he paid his respect to the Buddha and said, "Yes, sir, you are correct. You are correct. Your enlightenment is useless. Nobody would benefit that. Why not go back to your kingdom and have your coronation ceremony? Why not become the king and live your life with the beautiful Queen Yashodhara and your lovely son Rahula?" And that is when Buddha quickly understood it was the Mara. Buddha said, "Maro papima antako," you are the Mara, the evil one, the destroyer. And then according to the sutra, Buddha, the Mara disappeared. That's the whole point, that divine beings, or supernatural beings can tap into the minds of an unenlightened person. When it comes to enlightened people, they are not able to plant ideas. And when Venerable Ananda forgot to invite the Buddha to stay longer in the world, it is said that according to the scripture, that Venerable Ananda wasn't an Arhat yet. So that Mara was not only tapped into the mind, he also planted an idea in his mind so that he forgot. He forgot to, and so throughout the scripture you come across the reasons that supernatural beings can possess average people, and also they can tap into our minds, and they can even plant ideas in our head. So that's it. Maybe that is what happened to that Upasika too. Any?
I think more so what I was wondering is about the torture bit.
Actually, that's why I corrected it. Yeah, not
okay,
torture.
So
she was possessed by it. She was possessed by it. But however, there are other incidences. If it is a Sammadittika Devata, Sammadittika, the benevolent Devata, would only possess a human being. But in case it is a Micchadittika Devata, or a malevolent one, and they would not only possess, and they would also kind of emotionally torture victims. There are such incidences too elsewhere in the canon. Yeah.
So then, as a follow-up question, you mentioned that it might not be beneficial to offer any food to the deities, but if they can possess people, isn't it possible for them to take those merits through possessing someone?
Yeah. That's another reason is we have, it's not a canonical paritta. There's a non-canonical, it's a later addition, it's called, it's a protective chanting. In that, say, starting, it doesn't have a proper name actually. We call that Anum Paritta, Ajna Paritta. Meaning, in that paritta, a human being now who is about to share the merit with Devatas would speak to Devatas like this: "I have made this merit, and may all benevolent ones share my merit. In case there is a malevolent or an evil-minded Devata, unless you convert, unless you become an ethical one, unless you become a good one, I would never ever share merits with you. First of all, you convert, you turn into a good one. And then you should be able to share the merits. So, and you find it that only in Buddhist spirituality. So it's a command. Upasaka, Upasika can command a devata who is not, who doesn't have a good mind, who is not good, who is not ethical, who is not moral, first to become a good person. And so that they would become qualified to share the merits from human beings. So there's always there are these two kinds of devatas. Not every devata is good. And in fact, according to Sutra, there could be the number of malevolent ones could be way more than the good ones. That's when people practice metta. When practice metta, they always say, okay, may all devatas, may all deities be well, happy and peaceful. May they have good mind. They may be happy-minded. May devatas take care of themselves happily. That's how people also say. That means, within the Buddhist spirituality, now, usually in general in religion, divine beings exist well beyond humanity. However, in Buddhism, there's no vertical connection between humanity and divinity. Instead, there's a horizontal line. You draw a horizontal line, geometrically, and above the line are enlightened human beings. Or if there are enlightened devata, they could be above the line. And most of the time, you could see more enlightened humans above the line and more unenlightened deities below the line. So humanity is always placed in a higher place than that of divinity. So, and that's when in Sri Lankan spirituality in particular, I think Professor Richard Gombrich, Oxford also explained that very well in his book on Theravada Buddhism. His research is based on Buddhism in Kandyan upcountry in Sri Lanka, hill country Buddhism. So that you can see ancient remnants of ancient Theravada Buddhism still prevailing in rural areas in Sri Lanka, in Kandy, in the upcountry. So now, within Buddhism, there are no cosmic gods or cosmic or eternal deities. There are only samsaric deities. Samsaric deities are as opposed to cosmic deities, because, and in Mahayana Buddhism you can see that too. In Mahayana Buddhism, a bodhisattva ideal, most bodhisattvas are cosmic. They purposely delay their enlightenment to benefit the world. So now there's a similarity between cosmic bodhisattvas in Mahayana Buddhism or in different non-Theravada Buddhist schools, and also cosmic deities in Hinduism, other theistic religions. Now, when, for example, Vishnu, then Skanda, Shiva, and all those mainstream gods in Hinduism, now when they were introduced to Sri Lankan Buddhism, they were demoted as samsaric deities, not cosmic deities. Actually, I think in one of my previous talks I mentioned that a couple of years ago, one of my American friends, whose wife is Sri Lankan, had used in Sri Lanka. He was a former immigration officer, and he used an immigration analogy to explain that. Now he said that one cosmic deity landed at the immigration, in Sri Lankan immigration. Now he surrendered his passport, and then the immigration officer asked, "Why are you here today? Why are you in Sri Lanka?" "Well, I'm here to work. Do you have a work permit?" "No, I don't have." "Why?" "No, I'm cosmic, so I have open permit. I can work anywhere." No. Now, if you want to work in Sri Lanka, so you need to have the samsaric visa here. So it is very limited. So once your visa expires, you have to vanish. I mean, you have to leave Sri Lanka. And he used that immigration metaphor to explain how cosmic deities are demoted or transformed into samsaric beings within Theravada Buddhism, especially in Sri Lankan Buddhism. And so based on that, people would always, now however, people would to highly revere those deities. So what they would do is, all the cosmic deities who were absorbed into the Sri Lankan Buddhist pantheon were then assigned with the duty of Bodhisattva vows. So for example, God Skanda or the Kataragama from Sri Lanka, and people in Sri Lanka revere him as a Bodhisattva deity. There's only one way that he further explained that. Actually that is well, and even though his explanation is very humorous, actually that is what the scholars, it is widely believed by scholars. Now if a certain devata wants to stay in samsara, the only way is to, in other words, immigration terms, if you want to have a permanent residence, PR maybe, he has to become a bodhisattva. When you become a bodhisattva, because then you, like in the British visa say, how to that, what is that say? Indefinite to remain something? Indefinite leave to remain, that's right, that's the British term. Yeah, they get that indefinite leave to remain in their divine passport. Okay. Humor is always good. Yes?
Bhante, now from my understanding, devas become devas because of their good merits from their past lives. So how do they benefit from our transferring of merits?
Yeah, okay, great. Do you want to repeat please, so that everyone can hear?
I know that devas become devas because of their past merits. How do they benefit from us transferring merits to them? Does that extend their divine life?
Great, yeah, that's right. You know, when it comes according to the Buddhist, Tiloka, we talk about the triple world, Kama, Rupa and Arupa. Now the Kama Loka, now whenever we hear the word deity, they are very different than Brahmas. Brahmas are higher gods. Brahmas are Rupa Vachara. Now they don't have sensual pleasures. They are not pleasure seekers. They are spiritual devas. They are spiritual deities. They are higher deities. Whereas when it comes within the Kama Vachara sphere, within the sphere of sensual, within the sphere of pleasure seekers, there are 4 hells, 1 human world, and there are 6 heavens. What we mean by deity or devata is anyone living in those 6 sensual heavens. Now, so they are pleasure seekers. The only difference is they don't have a heavy atomic biology like they live in astral body, but their desires are not, their thirst, their tanha, their trishna is no different than that of us human beings. And so that over time they would use all their merits, so that they need to make more merits again. Otherwise, they would slowly lose their divine comfort. That's how it is explained in the sutras. So because of that, when as pleasure seekers, as karma-vachara beings, there's no much difference between their deities and us human beings. So that is when even devata, when you Sanghamitta Nikaya, especially Devata Sanghamitta and Devaputta Sanghamitta, and in those suttas, Sanghamitas, there are a lot of stories that sometimes a devata, a deity comes to see the Buddha, and he would say he feels lonely. I forgot the one in Devata Sanghamitta, Devaputta Sanghamitta, there's one story. Now there was this devata, he is a Bhummatta Deva, terrestrial Deva, not a celestial one, Akasatta. By the way, when in Sri Lanka, in Theravada, when we share many spaces, and Bhante touched on that too, Akasatta Bhummatta, Deva Naga Mahetika. It goes that Punyantang Anmoditva. May all celestial Akasatta and Bhummatta terrestrial Devatas share our merits. And may they protect us, may they make the good use of merits. Now, So when devatas, when they come to their existence, and you also come across this saying that close to their death, a devata would always feel frustrated. And when Buddha explains the bliss of humanity and bliss of divinity, and Buddha says that human beings can know things well in advance. They are able to understand the difference between dukkha and sukha, whereas their deities only know sukha. They only know only are close to the only minutes, moments before they are dead. Do they come to understand that they don't stand a chance to make make merits because they have to go. As a result, they may get frustrated too. And that's how it goes in different sutras. And I was going to say, according to the Devaputta Sanghamitta, one day one lonely devata came, and he said to the Buddha, "Sir, in the summertime, now when the sun is hot, wildlife is screaming due to thirst, and then so their screaming terrorizes me. When I hear names, I feel fear. I am fearful. Please help me." A lot of devatas come into Buddha and complain that how they feel, how they have loneliness, how they feel lonely, how they feel disappointed with their samsaric existence, and so on and so forth. When you read the Devata Sanghamitta and Devaputta Sanghamitta. So I think our time's up. Right. Any other questions? All right. Well, we have time for one more question, please. Would you take it all the way back?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear.
Just two quick comments and one question if you have time to take.
Yeah, sure, please.
You mentioned Panyasara Bante cannot speak.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's Nepal, yeah.
No, it's okay.
No, that's okay, please. He will
I
answer.
just wanted to tell you that he can speak our language, Newari.
Oh, Nepal.
Yeah, okay.
I just spoke to him in our language. Newari is the language spoken in Kathmandu Valley by original Indian tribes. And regarding God and goddesses, you mentioned 33 million.
Yeah.
It is 330 million.
Yeah.
It's usually called it is 40, that means 330. If you have time, I'd just like to ask one question.
Yeah.
When you do Punya and Bodhana, we always say we are transferring merit. Can you explain what is it we are transferring? Please? Thank you.
In Diwali?
If you speak in Diwali one day, nobody will understand except me. Maybe anyone can explain what is it we are transferring. You said we do Punya and Bodhana every time, but I find it difficult to understand what is it we are transferring. Thank you.
Actually, you want to know about what is merit, no? How transfer
What
to...
merit we are transferring to our participants or other organizations.
Yeah. Merits means punya, no? I think you know about punya anumodana. So that's why we do some merits when I think good, we know about good, good and bad. So we all have good and bad. So bad is not merit, you know. Just only good, good is only merits. So punya anumodana is, so we share our merits to deities or someone who departed, so our relatives, so we can transfer which we have, what we have with Manasa, with our mind. This is mind combination. Vibrations. So that is why we can transfer merits to departed swan or deities or Yaksha Bhuta, like that. Thank you. Is it okay?
Do you have any question? Yeah.
I don't think we have time. Maybe some other time for us.
Okay. If you just add a little bit, now punya is our thoughts that are turned into vibrations. According to Tirokuta Sutra and different other sutras, for example, I don't have to verbally chant a verse to share the merits. For example, I focus on the deities or any beings, I say, okay, see, I'm not thinking of them. When I think about them and they read my mind, that's how they share my vibrations. So this called, you can do that verbally or in silence. So punya basically is the spiritual vibes actually. So you can generate vibes, but however, unless you mentally focus on a particular group or a person or devatas, and they wouldn't be able to share that. So that is why we say, we use this phrase in Buddhist sutras, nama gottam savetva. By mentioning the names and ancestry, share the merits. So that's why based on that, people, when you do the water pouring, even though it was a late introduction, it was whenever you pour the water, say dhamme jnati nan hotu. So that you focus on you also, even though you don't necessarily verbally mention those names, I mean the departments or the names of certain devatas, you think about them. When you think, they read your mind and they feel okay, because there's no verbal communication with them, and because our time is far. If I just quickly take, this is my time, I'm taking time of my time, I'm going to do the next talk. So that's no way, so I'm safe now. I'm not how to say, getting someone else's time slot. I'm not grabbing anything. So now, one quick, just to add something more, is that one day when Buddha was, according to the Buddha's daily timetable, he would rest between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. From 12 midnight to 2 a.m. he would dedicate the time between midnight and until 2 a.m. To teaching the devatas. And sometimes some Putujjana monks, ordinary monks would see Buddha is just simply sitting and he is not moving his lips. He's not moving his lips. And hours later, and the following day, some monks would ask, Sir, what were you doing? But you were not in meditation. And Buddha would say, okay, I told devatas, but we didn't hear anything. And Buddha says, it's not the verbal language, it's the psychic communication. Okay. Psychic communication, okay. Thank you. Okay, that's time's up. Thank you very much, and I think you are not supposed to take a break now, right? I'm supposed to go into my talk. However, we can stretch out. Take a couple of minutes to stretch out. Thank you. Thank you, Bhante Panyasa. This is the first time he had his audience. Okay. Take 2-3 minutes, then please come back. Yeah, he can have a talk. He's there.
Yeah.
Did you talk to him?
Yeah,
Did you
speak to him.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Come.
Maybe next time I come.
Please come. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your coming. Come anytime.
Yeah, thank you. Is your next talk?
Yeah.
What is the talk about?
That's about sacredness of a woman's mind.
Oh.
Women. Yeah.
Thank you.
Namo Buddhaya, homage to Buddha. The topic I have been assigned for today's event, as you are celebrating Sanghamitta Day, is the sacredness of a woman's mind. Again, the sacredness of a woman's mind. So my talk, as a male monk, I pay tribute to my mother and all the bhikkhunis, Venerable Sanghamitta. Now, so why I said that male monk. Now, a monk is a monk. It doesn't matter whether male or female, right? So even though in Buddhist language we call bhikkhu and bhikkhuni. Now, there are few. I'm going to share my insights, knowledge in few steps. First of all, I would like to go back to the Buddha's time. Now, I came across a sloka, a Sanskrit sloka, that explains the status of women during the Buddha's time, and in many respects to this date in the Indian society. Here is the sloka. Now, darshanam chitta vaikalyam sparsham dhananashanam shayanam marana kuryat stri pratyaksha rakshasi. Again, darshanam chitta vaikalyam sparshanam dhananashanam shayanam maranam kuryat stri pratyaksha rakshasi. And this is from one Sanskrit shataka. Shataka means century or 100. Actually, there's a type of Sanskrit poetry called Shataka. Shataka means an anthology of 100 verses. That's what Shataka means. This is from the Prakti Shataka. This is the 35th verse of the Prakti Shataka. The meaning, Let me translate it to, so now, darshanam chitta vaikalya. Darshanam means by seeing a woman, by the sight of a woman. Chittang vaikalya. Somebody mind gets confused, or in other words, direct translation is you go crazy. Not because of her beauty. It doesn't have that positive connotation. Going crazy here means has a negative connotation. That wording is used to condemn women. Sparsham dhananashana. If they touch wealth, and that would be that would be the destruction of your wealth. Meaning, don't let women touch your wealth. I mean the family wealth, whatever. This is not the standard translation because I am translating in a way that in layman's language, in colloquial terms, so that everyone can understand. Shayanam maranam kuryat. When shayana means to sleep actually. Sayanam maranam kuryat. This is a temple, but I have to say that if you sleep with her, a woman, maranam kuryat, that would pave the way for your death. Stri pratyaksha rakshasi. Pratyaksha, obviously, definitely. Stri, woman is rakshasi, a female demon. So now that is from the Pratyashataka. There are so many. This is one of, I thought this would be the most provocative one. This provocative one, so that, and I am not responsible for this shloka. I'm only using as a reference. So it's a proof. Now, Sinhalin කියනවා ස්ත්‍රිය දැකීමෙන් in Sinhalese. ස්ත්‍රිය දැකීමෙන් දර්ශනං චිත්ත වෛකල්‍යං. දර්ශනං ස්ත්‍රිය දැකීමෙන් චිත්ත වෛකල්‍යං. හිත සිහි විකල් වෙනවා. ස්පර්ශන ඇල්ලුවොත් ධනනාශන ධනෙ විනාශ වෙනවා. ශයනං එකට නිදාගත්තොත් මරණං කුරියත් මරණය තමයි නැගිටින්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. Let me say that in English too. If you sleep with a woman and you will never wake up. That's what it says. Now, මේ උපහාස රසය නෙමෙයි මෙතන තියෙන අපහාස. Now, this is not humor. This is offensive language. Because hasa in Pali is hasa, in Sanskrit is harsha. Harsha in Sanskrit means, probably somebody must have his name Harsha. Harsha is, it must be there, listening. So, yeah. Harsha means smile, laughter. Upahasa means humorous smile. So that upper means offensive smile. So this is offensive to women. Now this sloka, this Sanskrit verse kind of encapsulates the overall attitude towards women in the Buddha's society. To this date, it is the same thing, but in certain Western countries also. Because I always, back in America, sometimes some people call me a feminist, because I always attend, agitation movements with certain companies. Women now are underpaid in America, even though America talks about human rights.
Protests.
There are protests, yeah. So sometimes I join that. Sometimes I'm questioned. I said, but I don't have to worry that I could say it because I'm a citizen there. So, still in America also women are underpaid. In a lot of countries women are they are not paid as men are. So now overall, this is how this started. I think there are certain sutras where Buddha talks about why men would have, or how patriarchy or the male ego came into existence within society. according to Kutadanta and other sutras, at the beginning of the human society, and the whole story, how family was formed, how there was this union between men and women. There's a long story. It's part of the Genesis story. I'm not going to explain that here. It takes a whole week. Now, one thing is right at the outset, men were outgoing. They were hunter-gatherers. Women were supposed to they were responsible for childbearing, and then raising their children. So that slowly they all became kind of limited within the households, whereas men were outgoing, always outgoing, and so they were very social. Over time, so the generations later, it became a genetic thing. You know how the genetic patterns are built up, right? So it starts from our thought patterns. Now, for example, see one example here. This is way outside of this one. So with the millennium, so we were able to have breakthroughs in science and technology. Now I know some parents who in their early to mid 20s, right? Now, and their children were, right from their birth, their children were technology oriented. They had never seen an iPad. How? Because our ancestral knowledge is genetically transmitted into the next generation. When it is the same thing that happened to male ego as well. So, however, nowadays that is not valid anymore. That is one of the reasons, because I'm not going to talk about feminism. However, if feminists have a valid reason to say that, one argument that I comply with, that is to say that women are able to be as social and as men, and they are equally able to contribute to the family economy. I know there are a lot of families. The family economy depends on women. Especially I know in Sri Lankan cases. Because I do social research, I know a lot of families. Usually, like 6 to 10 out of every 10 families, 6 to 7 out of every 10 families, a woman, the wife is the breadwinner. She makes a living, and father would mostly is a drug addict, drunk. It's very common in Sri Lanka now. And recently there was this classical saying that, in Sri Lankan colloquial saying that I heard that when I was a teenager, when I was very young, early 80s, I remember people would always say that now sometimes men would come to the temple and say, okay, I am the engine, my wife is the trailer. And this time when I went to Sri Lanka, the same men I said that. I said, sir, you are the trailer, your wife is the engine. That's how now the social and economic roles have been switched nowadays. That's one thing. However, now we are going on the religious line here, the sacredness of the woman, because that was simply a prelude. So I started with the explanation of that Sanskrit sloka. Now, let me start with the Bodhisattva ideal. I don't remember the exact reference or which Buddha. One day, one particular Sambuddha was given Vivarana. Vivarana is very difficult to translate into English. Vivarana is a Buddhist technical Pali term that means that declaration of Buddha, Samma Sambuddha, that someone would become a very important person in the future. For example, Bodhisattva Gautama received Vivarana from 24 Buddhas. That's why we call in Sinhalese Suvisi Vivarana. Vivaran means the declaration by a Buddha of someone would be a Buddha one day. That's called Vivarana mean. Vivarana literally means opening up, open declaration. So Buddha Gautama, according to it, maybe Buddha Padumuttara or someone. Now, this particular Sambuddha gave Vivarana to a woman, a young girl, and in his Vivarana he openly declared that young girl would be a wife to a future bodhisattva. Hearing that, there was another young girl in the audience. She also wanted to be a wife to a bodhisattva. Now I'm explaining a kind of pattern and kind of role in the bodhisattva path. And that girl, she thought to herself, I myself want to be a wife to a bodhisattva one day, just like this girl. However, she didn't approach that Buddha, and she would think about it. And then she would run through samsara after many thousands of lifetimes. One day, she met another Buddha, and then that is when that woman, that girl was none. The second girl was none other than Yashodhara herself. Now, according to the Bodhisattva, when you see the Buddha Vamsa, according to Bodhisattva ideal, now always if the Bodhisattva is a male, and later please don't ask me whether women can be Buddha, Sambuddha. I know people always ask me, yes you can. Yes you can wish. Now, however, we only come across female male bodhisattvas. So I don't know, probably when you are a female, unless you specifically program your consciousness to become Samma Sambuddha in female body, I wonder whether you are reborn into male biology in your final birth. I don't know about that. Please don't ask me, I have no idea. However, you can be a bodhisattva for sure. I know one of my cousins, female cousin. She wants to be a bodhisattva. She's already starting her practice. I met three women in Malaysia, one in Japan, one in Florida. They're all practicing bodhisattva path. They want to be Samma Sambuddhas. I really encourage them. Now, when we look at Bodhisattva Gautama's life, now it wasn't Siddhartha who asked Yasodhara to become his partner, and it was Yasodhara herself who volunteered to become Siddhartha's partner. Now, so that's something. However, she wanted to travel with Siddhartha in samsara. It says always there should be a male bodhisattva is always assisted by a female partner. And it is very good. When you see the Buddha Vamsa is one of the canonical books that is part of the Khuddaka Nikaya. When you read the Buddha Vamsa and its commentaries, you know how it's always there was a female partner traveling with the Bodhisattva. I always, as a psychologist, I always look at the Dhamma from a psychological approach. Actually, that really helps me to cut through. To transcend the cultural version of Buddhism and see the psychology. So I remember my father. My father was well known. He was a very strong man, very sensitive too. I vaguely remember, he passed away when I was very young. I remember whenever my father wanted to make a very critical decision about the family or the children, when we had gone to bed, and he would assume that we are already asleep, and then I would hear my father whispering to my mother's ears and asking, "What do you think about this? I need your opinion on this. Can you tell me?" So I think it happens in many families. No matter how strong, how social, how strong a father is, he would always ask the mother for opinion. Why? There's a reason. One more thing also, whenever there are some problems in the sasana involving monks and nuns and Buddha, there was one particular person that Buddha always consulted, who was none other than Vishaka. And Vishaka was invited to mediate. She was the mediator. Vishaka mediated in many respects also. Whenever there was one bhikkhuni got pregnant, right? And we all know the story, bhikkhuni pregnant, and then so that she had defected to the Devadatta's group. However, later the monk Devadatta came to know that she was pregnant. However, then Devadatta kicked her out, and she came to Buddha crying. And Buddha, through his supernatural power, his divine eye, through his supernatural powers, he knew the answer. But when such a thing, such a problem occurs within the sasana, always the problem, the solution has to be transparent. Otherwise, Buddha would have said how she got pregnant. Buddha knew that. He saw that. However, Buddha asked Vishaka to come. And there was this kind of court proceedings, like Vinaya proceedings. And so that when Buddha invited Vishaka. Vishaka calculated the dates, and then she determined how old the pregnancy was, and so she got pregnant before she became a bhikkhuni. She was none other than the mother of Arahat Kumara Kassapa. Everyone knows the story. And then one day there was a group of young teenage monks. Now they wanted to bathe in the river. And one evening when Visakha was walking towards the monastery, and these young monks were naked and they were bathing in the river. And as a mother, as a sister, the first thing Visakha did was, Vishaka just looked around like a 360. She made sure that nobody had seen the monks bathing like that. And she approached the Buddha right away and said, I saw these young monks, I made sure that nobody saw them. I think they don't have a bath clothes. So that's why please let them use an extra inner robes that they could use as a bath, because they only have one. And Buddha says that they haven't violated any Vinaya. And that is how, according to the Vinaya, that is the first time, thanks to Visakha's involvement, mediation, so the bathing cloth was mandated by the Buddha for monks. And she was very smart. Now, one thing is, men would agree with me, men would always find women enigmatic. In Singhalian, Guptai කියලා enigma, Gupta bhavak තියෙනවා. So that is why, because due to women's enigma, men scare them, men fear them. Men fear. And also, men highly depend on women emotionally. I have done some research, what is called Gabbasaya. Gabbasaya is a Pali word, Gabba. Gabbha, Gabba. In Sanskrit, Garbha, womb. Saya means sayana, sleep, lying, reclining. Gabbha Saya is the fetal position. It is mostly men, when they are lonely or depressed, that they lie in fetal position. Men, it is not women mainly, it's mainly men. Men lie in Gabbasaya. The Gabbasaya, now you learn about fetal position in modern psychology. However, so the Buddhist idea of fetal position predates modern psychological idea. And it occurs in the Pali canon. Gabbasaya, meaning, so when depressed or in housing loneliness, men would lie in fetal position. What does fetal position Gabbasaya means is, those who lie in fetal position are urgently in need of going back to the mother's womb for protection. That's what Garbhasaya means. Mostly it is men who do that. I remember myself doing that. So a lot. And the whole point here is now. So according to the sloka, women are, how does women was it? Pratyaksha Rakshasi, obviously demonic, right? Pratyaksha Rakshasi, female demon. So the Pratyaksha means obvious. So now, so the Buddha was against that idea. However, when Buddha, and if you know, this is always controversial, so why Buddha introduced this Attakaru Dhamma, right? Everyone knows that. So I'm always say that Bhikkhuni Sangha must have freedom to change Attakaru Dhammas. They must have these are the 8 universal conditions or requirements that women are supposed to, that they have to respect male monks and so on and so forth. However, as one of the first monks to translate, one day I had to translate the Bhikkhuni Vinaya for Upasampada overnight in Florida. I had to do that overnight because there was an African American lady becoming a Bhikkhuni. There was no translation in place. So I started translation at 5 p.m. and I finished the translation by 9 a.m. And so the Upasampada took place at 2 p.m. that day in Atlanta. So I'm an advocate of the Bhikkhuni Sasana. So I help that. The reason is, from the Abhidhammic point of view, according to Abhidharma or the Buddhist psychology, there was only one difference between a man and a woman. The only difference is the biological difference. The biological difference are called in Pali Itti Rupa and Purisa Rupa. Rupa here, Rupa has 2 meanings, the physical shape and the biology. See, when a woman is standing against the wall and then and behind, in front of the light, you see her shadow. So, based on the shadow, you could say the male or female. So the difference is that simple. Itti Rupa and Purisa Rupa. And when it comes to 32 natural innate tendencies of our mind, we have the same. Men and women have the same natural tendencies. The only difference is Itti Rupa and Purisa, the biological difference only. So I always use the Abhidhammic explanation, Abhidhammic standpoint on the difference between male and female. There's only one difference. And it is again proved by this stanza that occurs in one of the canonical books in the Buddha Vamsa. In the Buddha Vamsa, you come across this Pali stanza. Let me say that in Pali for recording purpose. Naso sabbesu thanesu puriso hoti pandito itti pandita honti tatta tatta vichakkana. The key word here is vichakkana. Vichakshana in Sanskrit, vichakkana in Pali. Vichakkana means skillful, versatile. Vichakkana. That's the key word here. Naso sabbesu thanesu puriso hoti pandito. The pandito is an English word now, the pandit, right? P-U-N-D-A at the end. It's an English word now, pandit. Tech pandit, economic pandits, religious pandits. So it's a pandita, not puriso hoti pandito. Man is hoti pandito. Naso sabbesu, not everywhere. Not everywhere is man a pandit. That's the translation, layman's translation. Not everywhere. And see the underlying, see the implied meaning here. Not the word by meaning, implied meaning. Not everywhere is a man smart or skillful. Why did Buddha say that? because it was the belief, accepted belief in his society, that the man was skillful in anything, smart at anything. The man is the all-rounder. Man is the skillful one. That's why it says, not everywhere. They are smart at certain things. But overall patriarchal idea is that men are perfect. They know everything. So see the subtle way the idea is expressed in here. Puriso Ithipi Pandita Hondi. Women are skillful too. Tatta tatta vichakkana. Tatta tatta, wherever. Tatta tatta means wherever. Women have to involve themselves, they are skillful. So in this verse, more credit is given to, more value is given to women, not to men. Not everywhere are men skillful or smart. Ittil pandita hanti, women are skillful too. Tatta tatta vichakkana, wherever. So wherever, we put emphasis on wherever, tatta tatta. You name it, wherever a woman is involved in problem solving, she is smart. So, but the whole thing is, I always tell my female Kalyana Mittas, don't compete with men. There's no competition. Don't compare yourself. There's no comparison. Why are women not supposed to compare themselves with men?
Because you're biologically different.
But yeah, one reason is biological difference. Second thing is, if you try to compare, you purposely downgrade yourself. And of course, you are much higher. You are way higher. That's why always. So during the first 2 weeks of the introduction to Bhikkhuni Sadhana in Sri Lanka. So I was in America, then I went to Sri Lanka, and then now early days, you do remember that when you explain, when you talk about a temple occupied by nuns, you say Aramaya, Bhikkhuni Aramaya. And now, and then I told the Bhikkhuni, some Bhikkhunis told Bhante, they call ours Arama, but yours temple. I said, don't worry, in a few years' time, people will come to you and they will come to more than to monks, and they will call yours in temple over time. Stick to your roles, do more service, and that's what happened in Singapore. I was teaching in a college in Singapore between 97 and 97 and 98. That time, a lot of temples were closing down. Why? There were no monks. What did the several monks, liberal monks, and they consulted some Bhikkhunis, and they went to Taiwan, and they sponsored a lot of Taiwanese. Within 3 years, temple in Singapore started functioning in full scale. Now when you go to Singapore, most temples are run by nuns. In Taiwan, it's the best case. So that when it comes to monastic population, it is the Bhikkhunis, not Bhikkhunis. It is not Bhikkhus. Another thing is, in Sri Lankan case, now, when it comes to, I know as a counsel I do that a lot. Now, when a woman is a counselor, she can approach both men and women to the same extent. A woman is able to counsel both men and women the same way, whereas a male counselor has some limits in his duty in providing counseling for a female. So women have a remarkable ability of understanding things, and they are better listeners. And that's another research I'm in the middle of doing these days. Women are better listeners. Now, have you ever seen that when you start a point that men cut you off, and then please don't tell that I know your husband, they are my best friends? Hopefully they are not watching on YouTube. Right? So, I think you might have your own experience in decision making. Most of the time, your male partners who consult you, they do that a lot. Just like my father did. That's because of the a woman's ability to think, think deeper, because men are equipped with, I don't know whether it's a male or ego, but they become more easily defensive than women. So that's one point. The next one is this one important is from the Bhikkhuni, so the Mara Sanghamitta of the Sanghamitta Nikaya. In the Mara Sanghamitta, Sanghamitta Nikaya, Bhikkhuni Sanghamitta. In the Bhikkhuni Sanghamitta, you come across this dialogue between when Bhikkhuni Soma and Mara. Now, one day, one afternoon, Venerable Bhikkhuni, and she was an Arhat, she was resting under a tree. She's spending the early afternoon in meditation. And then the Mara appeared to her. And now this is the Mara's, this is how Mara started. This is what he told Bhikkhuni Soma. Yantang isihi pattabang thanang durabhisambhavam natang dvangula panyaya sakka pappotu mitya. The key word here, dvangula panya. I think Sinhalese women, they know the word. Panya means insight or wisdom. Dvangula, dva means two, angula is inch, 2 inch. In Sinhala you say angal deke nuwana. I think your insight is only 2 inches long. Actually, you often hear that term in Sri Lanka, but actually it occurs in the Pali, in the sutras. In the sutras, we got that in Sri Lanka, we learned that term from the Pali. Dvangula panya. Dvangula panya means very limited knowledge. Dvangula means 2 inches, but in Sri Lanka you say the Sanghamitta. So the handle of the soup, handle of the spoon. Usually when you use it for not a tablespoon, but they used to make soup.
Wooden.
Yeah. Sorry?
Wooden spoon.
Yeah, wooden. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and that's actually it's way better then. So it's longer than maybe 12 inch, maybe.
Yes.
2 inches. It's way better. However, Dvangula panya is very offensive.
Yeah.
See, even Mara came down to ridicule women. Right? Even Mara. So he says, so that's what it is. Yang tang isihi pattabang. Isihi pattabang. If there is something that is only achievable by the wise men, isihi, rishis, Thanam durabhisambhavam. If there is a position that is extremely difficult to achieve, and it is only achievable by highly intellectual people like wise men, natam dvangula panyaya sakka pappotu mithya. By a woman whose wisdom is only 2 inches long, it is absolutely unattainable, unachievable. That's the Mara's explanation. Saying what he said was, and say, you are a woman. Let me put it in layman's language, in colloquial term. You are a woman. So you may not try to achieve what can only be achieved by wise men. So because you are not qualified to do that, because you are Dvangula Panya. You have Dvangula Panya. your panya is strictly limited. If you use a measurement, physical measurement, it would be like 2 inches. The 2-inch thing is because I have some people, one of my Indian friends, and when they talk about, sometimes they make this mudra, this much only, this much only. I think it's 2 inches. This much only. You know, this much only. That is with reference to Dongbal Panya. So now, Venerable Soma, Bhikkhuni Soma replied, Ittibhavo kinkaira, chittang hi susamahito, jnanang hi vattamanana, samma dhammam vipassato. Ittibhavo kinkaira. What is the point talking about womanhood here? What's the point talking about womanhood here? Meaning pointless to say, talk about women here. Chittang susamahito, regardless of the sexuality, sexual orientation. Chittang susamahita, when one's mind is well trained. Jnanang hi vattamanana, when the mind is well grounded in wisdom. Samma dhammam vipassato, when someone is able to vipassato, see the profound, to see the profound nature of the Dhamma or the realities. At that point, what is the point talking about the status or the position of a woman? Then what happened? Mara disappeared. Mara couldn't stand her. He couldn't say a word. Now, this is not only one. There are other. When in Terigat and also in the Bhikkhuni Sanghamitta, there are other stories too. How Bhikkhunis encountered the Mara. So even the supernatural beings like that. Now, especially when it comes to enlightenment. Now, Buddha had to struggle. I was going to talk about Atthakatha Dhammas actually. Now, Buddha took time, right? When Yashodhara and Pajapati, Gautami, and then they traveled long distances. By the time they arrived at the monastery to see the Buddha, they had their feet injured and they were tired and they were exhausted. Right? That's why Venerable Ananda mediated. With Venerable Ananda mediating with some reluctance. That's the word I would say. With reluctance, Buddha approached. Now, I have so this is why I was see. Now, this is the psychological. I discussed with some bhikkhunis and scholars too. Had Buddha granted permission right away, Buddha delayed it, not Buddha was discriminating, but Buddha wanted to educate their women into the gravity or the magnitude of pressure from the male hierarchical society. And then later Buddha granted that. Now, when you see in the later suttas discussions, and Buddha even